Nominated by President George W. Bush and confirmed by the United States Senate, Mike Griffin began his duties as the 11th NASA Administrator on April 14, 2005. As Administrator, he leads the NASA team and manages its resources to advance the U.S. vision for space exploration. Prior to being nominated as NASA Administrator, Dr. Griffin was serving as Space Department Head at Johns Hopkins University's Applied Physics Lab. Truly a great scientist as well. He was previously President and Chief Operating Officer of In-Q-Tel Inc. He is a forceful decision maker, and it's a pleasure to introduce the NASA Administrator, Mike Griffin. Mike.
Thank you, Steve, and particularly thank you, Evelyn, for requesting me to be here today to join you. It's an honor to be here. With due respect to the time that everybody has committed to this event, I must ask for 2 speakers worth of times because I have a message on behalf of another, and I'll start with that. I send greetings to those commemorating the 5th anniversary of the Space Shuttle Columbia tragedy. Our nation will forever honor the memory of the fallen crew. Space exploration is a dream deeply rooted in humanity. The 7 brave astronauts of Columbia sacrificed their lives so that the rest of mankind could realize this dream. Rick Husband, Willie McCool, Mike Anderson, Dave Brown, Colt Machala, Laurel Clark, Elon Ramon faced the dangers of space travel with courage and idealism. Their souls traveled together, and they assumed great risks so that they could understand what lies beyond the heavens. We're grateful for their service, and they will be always cherished. 5 years after Columbia perished on its journey back to Earth, we continue our commitment to space exploration and our obligation to ensure the highest levels of safety. We've learned from the loss of Columbia, and we're closer to visiting Mars and to once again walking on the moon. The United States is drawn to the challenge of discovering all that the universe has to offer, and the exploration of the unknown will lead to greater achievements on Earth and in space. Laura and I send our best wishes to the families and friends of the Columbia crew. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless America. Signed, President George W. Bush. Evelyn, I would like to convey the original of this letter to you on behalf of the President. And I'd like to conclude with just a few remarks on my own behalf. I was thinking as I sat today listening to our other speakers, every one of whom more eloquent than I, and wondering what I could say. But I didn't hear anyone place these types of ceremonies in the context of our lives and our profession, and I thought I would spend a few moments and try to do that. Many speakers have talked today about the value of flight and about space flight and about exploration, and I can only second that. I think we all believe that this profession that we are in is valuable, or we wouldn't be here. The toughest of all are those who are married to someone who is in this profession, or the family of someone who is in this profession, and have to suffer through its trials and tribulations on their behalf while not actually partaking of it. So we know it's valuable. But if we think about it at all, we also know that it carries with it more risk than human beings take in other walks of lives customarily. Every student pilot is introduced to this fact by his or her instructor. If you were a student pilot and didn't receive such comments from your instructor, you were misled. As an instructor, one of the very first things I tell my students is, I am not here to teach you to fly. I cannot teach you to fly. You will learn to fly if you do, and I will keep you from killing yourself while you learn. They need to understand that. And if you become the best of the best, become a military combat pilot, test pilot, someone who, like Jim Halsell, who's here today, flew the SR-71, or John McBride flew in combat, others of you who are here and have done that. You've reached very nearly the pinnacle being represented by the best of the best of the best who are selected to become our nation's astronauts. And you don't do it without understanding full well that it is very risky. We're here today to celebrate those who got the wrong side of that risk. For to risk means to risk the possibility of loss, and in this profession, it is to lose everything. I can't pass along on my remarks without noting also the risk taken by those who build, engineer, and design and build the vehicles that take us aloft, or those who manage others who commit them to flight. Folks like Bill Gerstenmaier, Bill Parsons, Wayne Hale in our audience, Bob Seek, the longtime launch director here at KSC, Jim Kennedy, former director at KSC, many, many, many friends of mine who bear the risk of sending people aloft and sometimes have to live with the consequences when that was not the right decision. You don't have to be a high-level manager of a risky enterprise to understand this feeling. You have only to be a parent to understand that feeling as you let your little ones go free in the world. And sometimes that doesn't turn out right. Some very few of us, Steve Lindsay comes to mind, Bill Reedy comes to mind, have both assumed those risks and committed others to those risks. And that's the most difficult challenge of all, to face day after day after day. We're here to salute all of the people in this and these very difficult professions who do this. Certainly the Columbia 7 who were lost to us 5 years ago today, Challenger crew before them, the Apollo crew, but also folks that many of you don't know and haven't heard of, like Mike Adams, who on the very flight where he earned his astronaut wings on the X-15 perished on reentry. And the many, many, many pilots you don't know, and managers and engineers who committed them to flight whom you don't know, in this most difficult and captivating of all professions. This profession represents possibly the peak of what it is, I think, to be an American. Because everyone here today who came to America and is here either came here like Kalpana Chawla to participate in this great enterprise, or the descendants of people who came here against very great odds. Some of us in this audience and many of us around are the descendants of people who were forcibly brought here in abject slavery and who yet managed to survive the harshest of all possible environments and the harshest of all possible odds, and nonetheless to leave behind them children and culture and heritage. So everyone here in this country are the descendants or are themselves people who braved great odds, come here and build a better life. Those people understand what it means to pioneer and to explore a new frontier as we do in space. And as Bill Gerstenmaier and others said, Americans don't quit. And we won't quit. We'll never quit. Today is a day when we remind ourselves that not quitting has high costs or can have high costs. And we celebrate the people who bore those costs and the people who remain behind them and live with those costs 5 and 22 years and 41 years after those things happen. We celebrate the losses and the people who remain behind to bear them. We want them always to know that they remain part of our family, that they will always be part of our family, that we don't forget, we never forget, we can't forget, and we won't forget. And this is how we say that. Thank you for having me here. Thank you.